Okay.
I'm Sherri Zelazny. I am a speech language pathologist, and I specialize in voice and laryngeal airway, which means I work with people with voice disorders for any number of reasons, hoarseness, maybe they have a lesion on their vocal folds, and of course, voice changes with neurological disease like Parkinson's.
Wow. So how how's it specifically working with people with Parkinson's?
Hmm?
Like, what what have you? Uh, let's see. Uh, what particular uh, things you noticed that are common with people with Parkinson's?
So the most common voice changes with Parkinson's are low vocal volume. So people start to notice that they're speaking softer, or other people can't hear them. Maybe they have to repeat more often. There are other aspects of voice and communication that change with Parkinson's. Sometimes rate of speech can change.
Mm.
People might talk faster, people might talk slower. Uh, Articulation, so maybe speech is not as clear. Hoarseness, there can definitely be some hoarseness with voice, but the most common and often the very first symptom of voice changes in Parkinson's is a change in vocal volume, so speaking softer.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself. That I've been speaking a little bit softer. Uh, what 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 would you tell someone who has Parkinson's the benefit of seeing you early?
Oh, yeah, definitely there's benefits to early speech and voice therapy. The most important thing about voice and communication changes in Parkinson's is that we have speech and voice therapy that is very, very effective.
Mm.
So many people know about the Lee Silverman voice treatment. That is the gold standard of care for voice and communication changes with people with Parkinson's. Um, if I had my way, everybody who has been diagnosed with Parkinson's would get a referral to speech therapy right away, so that the speech pathologist can be part of the team from the beginning, because we know that 80 to 90% of people with Parkinson's are going to have some issues with communication and voice. It is never too early to
Mm.
start the voice therapy. Um, the exercises are good skills to have. The knowledge and information about communication changes with Parkinson's is important to have from the beginning, so that things can be identified early, and voice therapy, speech therapy can start early, so that it has the best outcomes for the long term. Absolutely. Early
Mm.
identification.
Mm. So uh, I've noticed that some people with Parkinson's they they lose their ability to actually, uh, I guess, pronounce words well, pronounce words much clear, much more clearly. So uh, it's almost like their mouth is like a gel or something. And so, yeah, they.
Well, the whole system of for communication and swallowing, for that matter, it is a motor
Mm.
act. And we know very well that motor symptoms are, and motor control and motor behavior are part of Parkinson's disease, and speech and voice are motor acts.
Mm.
So everything that can affect your bigger muscles, including changes in range of motion, excuse me. So we know that one very common observation in Parkinson's is a shuffling gait, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a change in the range of motion, the ability to take that bigger step because of the lack of motor message to that muscle. And so the same thing happens with the speech and communication system. So if your vocal folds don't have the same range of motion that they used to have, voice quality changes, and that voice quality can be loudness, or something like hoarseness. And the other part of the system is speech, for sure. So if your tongue, lips, and palate, everything inside is not moving fast enough or efficiently enough, then articulation is going to change. So we might call that inaccurate articulation, where you want to make the T sound, but your tongue doesn't quite get there. That's going to change how that sound is made. The good thing is we only need one way to treat it, and that's with the Lee Silverman voice treatment, because the effort and loudness, which are the primary tools for Lee Silverman voice treatment, drive the system. And we know that if you drive the whole system to be stronger, the whole system gets better. So that means breath support, voice quality, loudness, and speech and rate of speech. Everything improves. The aspects of communication when we use one salient tool, which is effort, and loudness. And even the LSVT research group has done studies where they work on vocal effort as the salient feature, and another group that works on speech, and both groups get better, but the vocal effort loudness group has a better outcome than just working on speech. So we know that we can address everything in the communication system with this particular therapy. And I do want to say that I have no investment in LSVT, in the company, in the organization. It's just that it is the gold standard for voice therapy, for communication therapy for Parkinson's. So that's why we talk about it. There are other groups out there with similar therapies, such as the Speak Out group. They have a therapy protocol out of Texas, I believe it is, that is very effective. It uses the same concept as LSVT of kind of speak with intent is their key message, whereas LSVT is think loud. But it is all the same theory of driving the whole system to work better, so that everything works better.
So, what can we do, like, just for ourselves, if it takes time to get into that program, right? So, what can we do in the meantime?
Yeah, so there are definitely some barriers to LSVT, and the biggest barrier here in BC, anyways, is the fact that speech and voice therapy are not covered by MSP. So it is a private endeavor, and it is intensive voice therapy, which means the protocol is 4 times a week for 4 weeks. So that's 16 therapy sessions. So it is, for some people, it's just not accessible, and I totally understand that. So options for that: one, is to at least have contact with a speech language pathologist to get knowledge and information, get assessed, at least get that first assessment. And likely, if you're seeing an LSVT trained speech pathologist or a speak out trained speech pathologist, you'll gain lots of information and potentially at least the exercises to get going. It's an intensive protocol, but if you can't do that, but you can do maybe a handful of sessions, that's better than nothing. There are also some other things to do around BC. There's a Let's Talk Loud program that Impact Parkinson's has available in a group format. You could join a singing group. Any exercise that you do that accesses the communication system is going to be beneficial. We, of course, with Parkinson's Society BC, have had a long history of providing the communication and swallow workshops. I am invested in that because I do them. I lead those workshops. We've taken a couple of years off, of course, with COVID, but we're starting up again in May with our in-person workshops. Those workshops are provided by Parkinson's Society BC, are an excellent way to again gain information about communication and swallowing with Parkinson's and get a head start with the exercises. Sometimes some local hospitals might have an outpatient group availability for voice exercises with Parkinson's, so people should contact their public outpatient speech pathology departments to see if anything is going on there. Some people have gone to Toastmasters, which of course is a group that encourages public speaking. So some people have done that. Again, anything that you use your voice for, singing, talking, some of the Parkinson's Society support groups are incorporating voice exercises into their group. Some of the exercise programs incorporate some of the voice exercises into those programs. But the basic underlying foundation of making voice and communication better with Parkinson's disease is talking louder. Kind of like stepping on the gas. Like you just want to pass that car. You need to put a little power into the system. The hard thing about doing that on your own is because it's a motor system, because it's a motor program, and that is the primary deficit area with Parkinson's. It's hard without some direct support to keep it going. And that's why even maybe if you can do a couple sessions with a speech language pathologist, it might be better than nothing.
That's great advice. Thank you. Let's backtrack a little bit. What got you involved with speech language pathology?
With speech language pathology?
Yeah. Why did you choose that path?
Oh my gosh. Well, that started a long time ago. And honestly, when I was in high school, ready to go to university, my mother had said to me that she did not want me to go to school for liberal arts. She wanted me to have a major. She said she didn't care how many times I changed that major, but she wanted me to have some direction. So I started looking, and of course, back when I went to college, went to university, you would, the guidance department in your high school, had these books of majors, like there was no computer, of course. So I was thumbing through these books over and over and over again, and I kept coming back to speech pathology because it sounded interesting, the idea of being able to support somebody to be able to communicate just kept, it kept coming back and back. And there was a school for the deaf in my hometown in the States, and I did some volunteer work there, which was very rewarding. And then I went to school for speech pathology, and I never looked back. From day one, I knew that this was what I wanted to do. And as I, moved through my career, the most important thing for me has always been communication and the ability to, or even just knowing that I play a role in people being able to communicate with their families, to work, to express their wants and needs, to be social. That's what keeps me going every day. And
great.
it's incredibly meaningful to be a part of people's lives that way.
Yeah, like I saw it when you started talking about it, it's just like see you brighten up talking about it, so it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm trying to not, it is quite emotional for me. It's been a long, very successful career that I'm very proud of. And I think back over lives that you've touched, and it's just incredibly meaningful for me.
That's great. For me, like you're one of the first people I met through Parkinson Society BC, so it's like yeah, for me, just having known you since I first joined, it's been wonderful. So it's actually great to get to know you a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, what 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 got you involved with Parkinson Society in BC?
So, again, I started my career as what we call a general speech language pathologist, and for the first 15 years of my career, I did a little bit of everything, meaning I was employed in a hospital in the States. I'm from the States, and I worked with inpatients and outpatients and home care and school age kids, and I really did a bit of everything. And through those initial years in my career, I was leaning more towards the things that I really like to do, and those things were neuro, so into helping people with strokes and head injuries and accidents, and along those lines, that was where I spent a good part of the beginning of my career. But always during that time, I knew that that voice and voice disorders were really where I wanted to steer my career. And LSVT, that LSVT program was being researched and introduced to us in probably, I want to say the late 80s or so, which was when I was starting my career. So I became certified in LSVT, and started working with the Parkinson's community. So that's how that started. And then, not unlike maybe several other people, I've had some family members who were diagnosed with Parkinson's along the way, but my interest in Parkinson's and working with people with Parkinson's was before that. And I just found over the years that, just an incredible population of people to work with. I have found over the years that people with Parkinson's are quite motivated to improve. They that you can work harder than the Parkinson's and bring quality of life back to a point where you can participate and enjoy life, and communication, of course, is part of that. I've always been amazed by the Parkinson's community and the motivation and dedication to being better and being the best you can be. And, it goes both ways. So I get reinforced from that, knowing that people are getting back to the things that bring quality of life. And then in 2002, we moved to Madison, Wisconsin, where I was fortunate enough to work at the University of Wisconsin Voice and Swallow Clinic, and I was able to narrow my focus of my career to voice and airway, and also increase my connection with the Parkinson's community and providing LSVT. In Wisconsin, I was on the board of the Wisconsin American Parkinson's Disease Association, so I was on the board there, and we did a lot of things for that community there. And then when we moved to BC in 2011, I knew that was involvement with the association is something that I wanted to continue, so I contacted Parkinson's Society BC. And also when we moved here, certainly able to continue the focus of my career in voice, and with my involvement with Parkinson's Society BC, being on the board, doing the communication and swallow workshops, having my practice here that is focused on voice and airway, I have been able to keep my involvement. And again, one of the most meaningful parts of my career has been my involvement with the Parkinson's community, and I feel incredibly honored and humbled to spend so much time with the Parkinson's community here, Wisconsin, here.
Yeah, it's quite amazing people that, like, for me, it's just opened up my life to be involved with people with Parkinson's. So yeah, to understand that, like, I don't know any other community that's so engaging and wanting to improve themselves as well as help others, right? So
yeah, I think that's exactly right. Very, very engaged, very motivated, and absolutely very supportive of each other, and it's just incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. It is. Anything else that you'd like to share?
I don't know. I feel like I've said a lot already. It's just, I just grateful that to be involved, grateful that you're doing this to help the public also understand, but mostly really humbled and grateful to be part of the Parkinson's community here in BC.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, this project, I hope will open people's eyes as to the challenge of having Parkinson's, because I think people tend to have like just one idea of what Parkinson's is like based on their own knowledge, right? So it might be that just know Parkinson's through Michael J. Fox, or
right.
I find people younger now don't even know who Michael J. Fox is, because they have no concept of having seen any of his movies. So
that is an excellent point.
Yeah.
Right.
So I actually encountered that in Japan when we went to the Congress.
Mm-hmm.
I met a couple of young people and talked to them about Parkinson's, and said, because they had no idea what it was, right? So I said, do you know Michael J. Fox? They said no. And heard of Muhammad Ali, but they knew him for his boxing. So,
right.
Yeah, I think you need to have our own. Well, I'm not saying I can be like Michael J. Fox, but I think we all need to do our part to make people aware.
That's right. Right. And, it sometimes, for anything, we don't really know about it until we have to, maybe,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
right? But I think helping the community understand. And one thing that I've always said as a speech pathologist is, and one thing that, um, excuse me, um, still I try to work on, and this is part of it, right, is that we don't do enough public education so that the general community knows how to help and encounter and support somebody with a communication disorder. The burden is always put on the person who's having trouble, and it's not fair.
No,
It's
it
just
isn't.
not fair. And anything that we can do to help the community understand communication disorders and how communication impairments interfere with people's lives, and help the community support people who are having trouble communicating is important.
Yeah, that can be very frustrating to not be able to communicate like what your intentions are, right? So
right, because that's what it's all about. If you can't communicate, you can't get your wants and needs met, and that is the basic foundation of communication is communicating wants and needs. From I'm hungry, I'm tired, I have pain, to I love you, I need you. It's all about communication. And there's certainly other ways to communicate. It doesn't all have to be oral, verbal communication, but that is what we rely on the most, right?
Just recently seeing that movie Coda.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either, but I really want to take a look at that because it just seems really interesting.
Yeah, it's towards everything that we're talking about, for sure. Yep.
So, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Anytime.
Yeah, it's great. So, thank you again, and I will let you know when this gets broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to ask too. Yeah, let me know. Good.
Thank you.
Okay, Richard.
Okay.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye. See you at the
Bye.
AGM.
Yes.
See you at the... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.